So watch a bunch of students from University of Texas in Austin have in common with a community of ultra-Orthodox Jews from Bnei Brak in Israel. Well, both groups shamelessly violate the rules of social distancing and the prohibition of gatherings. Of course, they're not the only groups, but this week I read articles about both. So 2 weeks ago, a group of students, 70 students from the university in Texas, chartered an airplane to take them to Mexico in order to fulfill the religious obligation of properly party during spring break. 70 of them went, and now 44 of them have the coronavirus. To make things worse, some of them flew back to the United States on a regular airplane, not the charter. And just think about all the people that were infected by them at the airport, on the airplane, etc. Just try to think if it were the other way around, that a group from a different country would come to one of the cities here in the US, perhaps even to our town in Jupiter, and make us all sick because they had to party. The group of ultra-Orthodox in Bnei Brak last week participated, for example, in a funeral of one of the rabbis there who died. 400 of them attended the funeral. Now, if you think that the rules here in the US are strict now during the time of the coronavirus, in Israel the rules are much, much stricter. You're not allowed to do that. It's against the law. You get fines. You can even spend up to 6 months in jail. Nevertheless, 400 of them attended that funeral. Many of them, despite the prohibition, still go to synagogues and pray in large groups. There was a big wedding that they celebrated. Why? Why would people do such a thing? And of course, it's not only them. You know, I read about at least 2 ministers in our countries who got arrested. One of them is in Tampa. The other one in Louisiana, who was boasting that last week he had over 1,000 people attending his church. Why would people do that? What kind of people would do such a thing? So let me start with a more positive explanation. Not because I feel so positive now, but it's Shabbat, it's almost Passover. So the reason that people violate these rules is because it's really hard, even unnatural for us as human beings, not to be together with others. Scholars showed us time and again that we feel better being in a large group, again, unless we have a fear of crowds, but most of us don't have it. There are some good chemicals that being released by the brain, by the body, that makes us happy, makes us even feel love when we are with other people. You go to see Bruce Springsteen in a concert. You pay this exuberant amount of money. You try to find parking spot. You can listen to Bruce Springsteen on your stereo. You can watch him on a TV, but you feel much better. You get this kick of being part of a large group. That's why people go to ball games. We love being together. Since the Stone Age, our species, human being, realized that they do much better together. When they were gatherer hunters, they figured out that doing it together is a much more efficient way to collect food. Together, they can hunt large animals. They can protect themselves against animals, against other tribes. And since then, we live in tribes. We live in groups. It makes us happier. It makes us feel better. And the more modern and advanced we are, the more dependent we are on others. If in the past a family could have taken care of all its needs, They could gather some food together, cook the food, make some clothes, make a house. Now, we really need other people to survive. Each one of us, no matter how smart we are, possess only a tiny sliver of knowledge of how to make things that we use on a regular basis. We need other people, only that other people now make us sick, even kill us. More than that, human beings need to touch each other. Don't laugh. Just think about it. When we meet, we normally shake hands, we give a hug, even a kiss. This touching releases the same good chemicals that make us happy and make us feel love. You see, when a baby is born, their vision is not good for a while. Their hearing is murky, but they can feel, they sense. Normally, they put the baby on his mother's, so when the skin of the baby touches the skin of the mother, the baby learns how to regulate his or her breathing, regular digestive system. They feel protected. So what's true for babies, it's true for adults as well. Lately, there is a successful business of people who become professional huggers. I know it sounds silly, but yes, there are places that you could go to. There is nothing sexual about it. There are people who learn how to cuddle. And people who do that says that it really helps in order to release the anxieties and stress in our lives. And now we're told not to do that. And we should. We should not do that. Despite all the benefits of being together with others, of touching, the risk that we are taking is much greater. So yes, some people really, all of us want to be with others, and some people apparently cannot stop themselves from doing it. So this is the nice explanation, but I need more than that, because I have to tell you, I'm quite angry. So why did these students do it? I heard one of them saying, and I quote her, my immune system is great. And I was looking at her, and I was saying to myself, I wish there was a correlation between the strength of your immune system and the strength of your brain. Because yes, you're a 20 years old, young, healthy person, so even if you get the coronavirus, very likely you're not going to die from it. But then you're going back home, and your 57-year-old mother may get sick in a much more serious way. And then your mother will go to visit her mother, who is 90-year-old. So being so arrogant. Why do religious people do it? Jewish people, Christian people, why do they do it? So first of all, the majority, thank God, do not do it. And they obey the laws and the rules the way all of us do. But why some people think that they need to violate these rules? A lot comes from leaders. You see, there are some religious leaders that no matter what they say to their people, the people just obey. So one of these rabbis in Bnei Brak is 92 years old. Whatever he says, people do. So when the coronavirus started and Israel decided to suspend schools, he came with a declaration that it's much more dangerous for young boys not to study Torah than to get the virus, and forbade his community to close the schools. A few weeks later, he was forced to do it because still there is some law enforcement in Israel. But when he said, oh, everyone has to go to school, all the children went to school. And it was the same with these ministers in Louisiana and Tampa. I tried to read. I read what the minister said and some of the people who attended the services. And basically they said, that's what God wanted us to do. In their mind, worshiping with others, ignoring the rules, shows a greater dedication, a greater love for God. Let me tell you, I don't know which God they follow. This is not the God that I'm familiar with. My God's first rule is don't be stupid. And if you think, God says, that you can be stupid, that you can put yourself in a dangerous situation, and then you'll pray that I will help you, that I will save you, that's not the way it works. God helps those who help themselves. If you put yourself in an unnecessary risk, don't expect God to change nature in order to heal you. It's not going to happen. This is not the way we look at God. This is not our faith. Don't be stupid. Don't be irresponsible. Don't be arrogant. But then God says something else, slightly different, but I'll say it bluntly. God says, don't be stupid and let other people pay the price for your stupidity. You see, when you do something dangerous, for example, unfortunately, Florida still allows motorcyclists to ride their bikes without helmets. So if you ride your bike without a helmet and you get into a car accident, well, you hurt yourself. I know that you also hurt the circle of your friends and family, but at least directly you hurt yourself. But when you go to a gathering with 1,000 people, or you go to a funeral in Bnei Brak, which is near Tel Aviv, where 400 people are there, and then you go back to your small apartment when you have 12 kids and a wife, very likely one of them is going to get ill. And then you're going to sit on a bus to Jerusalem next to somebody else. So this is not just something that you're doing to yourself. You're taking a risk that is going to affect so many other people. This is not just stupid. This is, God says, unforgivable. God can forgive us for things that we do against God, but not when we hurt other people. We say it on Yom Kippur. Even Yom Kippur cannot atone for this kind of sins, of these kinds of actions. I want to end with a wonderful story that I taught in the past, but I have to tell you the truth, I never fully understood it until a few weeks ago. And the story is told about Rabbi Israel Salanter. Rabbi Salanter was one of the greatest rabbis of the 19th century. He lived in Vilna, so he was a Litvak. He was a Lithuanian rabbi, which means that he observed all the commandments in the strictest way possible. However, in 1848, during the plague of the cholera, Rabbi Salanter went to a synagogue on Yom Kippur with wine and a cake. After a very short service, he did a kiddush, ate the cake, and told his people, go home, eat, and drink. Why did he do it? Because the doctors at that time said that during the epidemic, people should eat well, people should drink, people should not spend a lot of time in close places with others. So Rabbi Salanter said a very short service and then go out and walk outside, enjoy the fresh air. And the first person to do it was himself. He ate and drank on Yom Kippur. Of course, many people were angry with him. Many rabbis stopped talking to him. But he did the right thing. He followed the Talmudic idea that et la'asot l'Adonai heferu toratecha. It's a beautiful idea. It means that sometimes the way to follow God is actually by breaking the halacha, is by going against the Jewish law. So yeah, we're supposed to have a minyan, but times like that, in order really to observe everything, to follow God, means not to have a minyan. Because when we do that, several weeks from now, maybe 2 months from now, we'll be able to go back to our normal life. And the Talmud continues that sometimes it's better to violate one Shabbat in order to celebrate many other Shabbatot in the future. This is the time to celebrate Shabbat, to celebrate Passover in a few days. I'll talk about it later. In a different way, in a compromised way, but that will allow us to keep celebrating Shabbat and holidays in the future the way we want to do it. So, let's follow God's commandment. Don't do stupid things. Don't be arrogant. Follow the rules that would make you as safe and healthy as possible. Shabbat Shalom.